just hums beneath everything. The kind that makes you reach for your phone and scroll, without looking for anything in particular. Just looking for something that feels like contact. Something that feels like proof that the world is warm and that you are part of it. And then you find something. Or someone finds you. And the hum goes quiet. That's what happened to me. That's what you did without knowing you were doing it. You walked into the frequency of my life. And you brought quiet with you. The good kind of quiet, the kind that isn't empty but full. Full of something warm and real and uncomplicated. And I started to crave that quiet the way you crave sunlight in the middle of winter. Not desperately, not dramatically, just steadily, constantly, with a deep and patient wanting. I want to tell you what I see when I imagine the future. And I want to be careful here, because I want this to feel like possibility, not pressure. I want it to feel like an open door, not an expectation. So when I say I imagine the future, I mean I imagine the kind of future that having you in my life makes me want to build. A future that's quieter than people might expect from me. A future with more still moments in it. More real conversations. More of those mornings I told you about. The ones that start slow and soft before the world wakes up completely and asks things of you. More of those evenings where nothing significant happens, and somehow everything feels significant anyway. Just because of who you're sitting next to. Just because of the company. I imagine a future where I know your favorite things in the specific, detailed way that only comes from paying close attention over time. Not the broad strokes, the fine details. The way you take your coffee on the mornings, when you're tired versus the mornings, when you feel good. The songs that hit you differently depending on what kind of day you've had. The small rituals that make you feel like yourself when the world has been loud. The things that make you laugh so genuinely that you forget to be self-conscious about it. The things that make your eyes go far away, and I've learned not to interrupt, because you're in a beautiful place in your own mind, and I don't want to call you back too soon. I want to know all of that. I want to be the kind of person who knows you, not as a concept, not as a feeling, but as a person. Specific and detailed and whole. All of your seasons, not just the pretty ones. The version of you when things are going beautifully, and the version of you when everything feels like it's falling apart, and you can't find the floor. All of it. Every version. I'm not interested in the highlight reel. I want the full picture. I want the complete and complicated and gorgeous truth of you. Because here's something I believe with everything in me. The people worth keeping around are the ones who don't leave when you stop performing. The ones who stay when you're tired and honest and unguarded. The ones who actually show up for the version of you that isn't curated for anyone's consumption, that isn't trying to be impressive or appealing or anything other than simply real. Those people are the treasure. Those people are the ones you build a real life with. And I want to be one of those people for you. I want to earn the version of you that you don't show everyone. There's so much more I want to say, and somehow words feel both too much and not enough at the same time, which is how I know this feeling is genuine, because the things that matter the most are always the hardest to contain in language. They spill over the edges. They resist being neat. They insist on being bigger than any sentence can hold. And this, what I feel when I think about you, what I feel right now saying all of this, is exactly that kind of feeling. It doesn't fit neatly. It doesn't behave. It just keeps expanding every time I try to define it. Every time I try to give it a clean border, it just grows past it. And maybe that's okay. Maybe some things aren't meant to be contained. Maybe some things are meant to just be felt, held lightly, allowed to grow in whatever direction they want to grow, without agenda, without deadline, without the pressure of having to look a certain way or arrive at a certain destination by a certain time. Maybe the most honest thing I can do is just stay here, with you. And staying in the middle of the growing, that takes a kind of courage that I don't think gets talked about enough. Because it's easy to love something when it's already fully formed, when it's already defined and certain and safe. But to stay in the as a middle of it, in the part where it's still tender, still finding its shape, still figuring out what it wants to be, that requires something different. That requires a willingness to be uncertain and still show up. To not have all the answers and still keep walking forward. And I want you to know that I'm walking forward. Every single day, I'm choosing to walk in the direction of whatever this is, without a map, without a guaranteed outcome, just with the feeling in my chest that tells me this is exactly where I'm supposed to be going. And that feeling, I need to describe it to you more carefully, because I don't think I've done it justice yet. It's not loud. That's the first thing. It's not the kind of feeling that announces itself dramatically or demands your immediate attention. It's quieter than that. It lives in the background of everything I do, like a low, warm light that's always on. I'll be in the middle of something completely unrelated, working, thinking, moving through the ordinary mechanics of my day, and I'll feel it there, just humming gently underneath everything. This warmth, this steadiness. This thing that doesn't spike and crash the way infatuation does, but just remains, constant and patient and sure of itself in a way that makes me trust it more than anything loud I've ever felt. Because I've felt the loud things. I want to be honest with you about that. I've felt the things that hit you like a wave and sweep you completely off your feet and feel enormous and overwhelming and absolutely consuming. And then, weeks or months later, leave just as suddenly as they arrive, taking everything with them, and leaving you standing in the aftermath wondering what exactly just happened to you. I've been through the kind of feeling that burns bright and fast and leaves nothing but ash. And I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm not interested in fire that destroys. I want the kind of warmth that builds, the kind that sustains, the kind that you can actually live in without getting burned. And what I feel for you, it feels livable. It feels like something I could inhabit fully and comfortably, and still be myself inside of. That's how I know it's different. That's how I know it's real. Because it doesn't ask me to disappear into it. It doesn't demand that I lose myself to prove how serious I am. It just makes room for me, the same way I want to make room for you, completely, generously, without conditions attached. I want to talk about the things you've taught me, because I think you deserve to know the impact you've had on the way I see things. You've taught me, without ever intending to, without ever sitting me down and saying, listen, here's a lesson. You've taught me what it looks like to care about something, without needing anything back. To show up for someone purely because you want to, not because of what it gets you. That kind of giving, the completely untransactional kind, is something I had forgotten was possible. I had spent so long in environments where everything was measured, where every gesture had a calculation behind it, where people gave with one hand and kept a tally with the other, that I had started to believe that was just how the world worked. That generosity was always strategic somewhere underneath the surface, and then you showed me it wasn't. You showed me quietly, consistently over time, that some people give simply because giving is in their nature. Because their heart is built that way. Because they don't know how to love something halfway or care about something with a fraction of themselves. And watching that, receiving that, even from a distance, changed something fundamental in me. It cracked open a part of me that had gone a little rigid and a little cynical, and reminded it that softness is not weakness. That openness is not naivety. That choosing to love fully in a world that often punishes you for it is one of the most genuinely brave things a person can do. You are brave, baby. I hope you know that. Not the loud, obvious kind of brave, the quiet kind. The kind that keeps loving even after it's been hurt. The kind that keeps hoping even after it's been disappointed. The kind that wakes up every morning and chooses gentleness, even when the world hasn't been gentle back. That is courage. That is real, deep, bone-level courage. And I see it in you even when you can't see it in yourself. And I want to be the person who keeps pointing it out to you. Not in an overwhelming way. Not in a way that makes you uncomfortable or puts you on a pedestal that feels unsteady. Just in the small, everyday way of someone who notices you. Someone who pays attention. Someone who sees the moments when you're being extraordinary and says so, simply and honestly, because you deserve to hear it, and I want to be the one saying it. I want to be the voice in your life that adds to you, rather than diminishes you. The one that makes you feel larger and more capable and more worthy, not smaller. And I think about what that responsibility means. To be a voice that builds someone up, and I don't take it lightly. I want to earn the right to that role in your life. I want to deserve the trust that comes with being someone's safe place. There's something I've been circling around, and I think it's time I just say it directly. I am not perfect. I want to make sure that's absolutely clear before we go any further into this, because I think one of the most damaging things that happens between people is when one person builds the other into something flawless in their mind, and then the inevitable humanity of that person feels like a betrayal. I don't want that between us. I want you to see me clearly, the real version, the full version, not because I want to disappoint you, but because I want what we have to be built on something real. And real things have imperfections in them. Real things have rough edges and complicated corners and moments of failure. And I have all of those things. I have days where I'm not the best version of myself. Days where I'm impatient or distracted or lost inside my own head in a way that makes me less present than I want to be. Days where the old armor comes back up and I go quiet when I should be talking, when I should be reaching out, when I should be letting someone in. I am still learning how to stay open when everything in me wants to close. I am still practicing the thing that looks so natural in you, the willingness to be soft and available and emotionally honest, even when it's risky. I am a work in progress, and I think you deserve to know that. But here's what I can promise you, and I don't make promises lightly, so please hear this: I will always try. I will always be genuinely, effortfully trying, not coasting, not taking the easy way, not giving you the minimum and hoping it's enough. I will be the kind of person who notices when something is off and asks about it instead of pretending it isn't there. Who brings things to the surface instead of letting them sink and fester. Who chooses